4 this week is Smutt Peddling, a new round, and we're starting, of course, with Phil.
Ooh. So I would like to talk about female hysteria.
I'm sure you would, sir.
Well, I would very much like to talk
I
about
apologised, for God's sake.
that. So the condition of female hysteria was around long before Victorian times, but it was in this period that it was at its peak.
Then what have I been doing since?
So hysteria of both
Staving
sexes.
off the madness.
Hysteria of both sexes was common. However, doctors like to focus mainly on women. Symptoms included faintness, nervousness, sexual desire, insomnia, fluid retention, heaviness in the abdomen, muscle spasm, shortness of breath, irritability, loss of appetite for food or sex, and a, and I quote, tendency to cause trouble.
So basically being on opiates.
So it was diagnosed both as being in the mood for sex and not being in the mood for sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
My dear, you're hysterical. But I'm feeling quite horny. You're still hysterical.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So one of the causes was thought to be retention of supposed female semen, thought to mingle with the male semen during intercourse. This was believed to be stored in the womb. Hysteria was referred to as the widow's disease, since the female semen was believed to turn venomous if not released through regular climax or intercourse. So during the Victorian period, they considered the best way to deal with this was clitoral stimulation at home. And when this wasn't doable, doctors would do it for them. It was around this time that the invention of vibrators came into the medical community. It's argued that they were well received due to medical...
Yeah, we really took them on board.
They were very much enjoyed, due mainly to the fact that medical professionals suffered from fatigue of the hands and wrist.
Oh, God, yeah.
Also, the first steam
There's a lot of
powered...
self-diagnosis.
Everyone's got to have a hobby. The first steam-powered vibrator was called the manipulator, which was invented by American physician George Taylor in 1869.
I love those steam out. I just in my head I've got the idea of someone like shoveling coal into the back of it.
I was going to say, I had the whistle on it. I didn't have the sound.
All right, Ethel, you're in for a town tonight.
Are you at the station yet? Not quite.
Oh, I'm nearly there. But joking aside, some instances of this female hysteria would have actually had women sent to asylums or actually had hysterectomies. They didn't quite know what to do with it. But female hysteria, luckily, was totally phased out by the 20th century. Doctors finally realised that the multitude of symptoms could be attributed to a lot of other problems and not just to a catch-all called female hysteria.
Yeah.
Masturbators, not vibrators, but dildos and other such playful things were in existence before that, but the creation of rubber during Victorian times galvanised it into what we might recognise more in the Ann Summers, and other shops are available on the high street.
I don't know, I've never seen a steam-powered vibrator in Ann Summers. Not that I spend a lot of time.
Yeah, you have to go
Hashtag
online.
retro.
Is that online?
Try
Yeah.
Bondera.
Steampunk kind of vibrator.
Moving swiftly on, I believe, Laura, you have something to tell us.
I do. I have a prescription for prostitutes. More accurately, I would like to talk about the prescription for prostitutes for curing the ails of Victorian men. Men who suffered from depression, restlessness, apathy, great fatigue, and headaches were at times diagnosed as suffering from a lack of intercourse. There is no knowing exactly how many doctors prescribed marriage, a mistress, or a simple trip to the brothel or street corner to their male patients. However, there was some medical opinion that argued an equally strong contingent who believed too much sex was dangerous. Too much sex was thought to cause general weakness and debility, leaving a man languid and depressed.
Yep. Always happens to me.
I'd like to point out that this prescription was also for men suffering from depression and restlessness, so it was a vicious cycle, really. Too much sex, not enough sex. Oh my god.
I'm so
Are you
languid
saying they're
today.
in cahoots? Have you come up with a conspiracy?
Always. Quite how much sex was too much sex is hard to establish. Doctors used
7 sex is too much sex.
7 units.
7 units of... Oh, no, don't say units. That's like you measure it afterwards. That's like... It's like a special jug. No, continue with the fact. I can't...
See, I had it as more of one of those, tubes that you measure alcoholic volume in, but... Possibly a turkey-based one. I don't know.
Doctors usually recommended that a man regulate his sexual activity to approximately once a week, although if they experienced any fatigue immediately after sex, the interval was to be increased. So basically, if you're knackered afterwards, don't do it for another fortnight.
Sorry, no. So you've put a bit of effort in. You might be a bit tired afterwards. So your other half will go, oh, you're quite knackered. We should probably wait a bit.
I think Kath will actually come on to this later, no pun intended.
What?
Interestingly, the Victorians were quite specific about when it was appropriate for a man to insist on the affections of his wife, which was his husbandly right rule. For instance, if a man broke any of these rules, he was a brute and his behaviour was cast as beastly by men and women alike. These rules were sex with a heavily pregnant woman still recovering from childbirth, sex when a woman was on her period, or while she was ill, or on the Lord's Day, were all frowned upon, and therefore in any literature where you find them described as a beast or a brute, it's a man that does it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But overall, basically, if you're depressed, have sex. But if you have too much sex, you'll be depressed. But only have it once a week, and if you're tired afterwards,
And not on Sundays.
wait an extra week.
Yeah, definitely not
Yeah,
on
not on
Sunday.
Sundays.
Not on Sundays, and not if
Jesus.
I'm not if I'm bleeding
That's
or
penny farthing day.
No one told me there was loads of rules for sex.
Yeah,
otherwise you're a brute and a beast.
I just put it in.
I just thought I was best at
You
tank
just
classes.
thumb it in.
I was thumbing a softie.
Sorry.
I was the... But yeah, whenever the whole thumb in a softie thing, there's a worse mental image that comes to my brain.
It's like pushing rope.
I always find the rope that I imagine like that is actually fairly thick, so I don't think
Yeah,
it's that
same.
much of an issue.
Same actually.
It's
I
more
always
kind of,
imagine it's
like
quite
the bell ringing rope from Eternals.
Why did you take it biblical?
Quite genuinely, doctors of the time prescribed going to a mistress or prostitutes to
Prostitution, I don't think, was actually technically illegal.
I think it was a fairly industrious
No,
industry.
because it wasn't illegal, but they used to arrest prostitutes for other charges, and they basically
When they fancied having a free one.
well, yeah.
Well, madam, you're going to have to do something if I'm going to let you off these charges.
Oh well.
You've been watching way too much.
I was
Before
going
You're Born.
to say, yeah, Kath moving into a new direction
And it
directing
is
the
very
film.
difficult to get the projectors for that kind of thing.
It's not. You just got to look in the right place. No. It was legal. They would just arrest them for things like being drunk in public, even if they weren't, and then they would the general
Lewdly dressed and things like that.
the general that they would then be sent away for a year in prison, and that would be it. It'd be year away, done. Come back, continue. But yeah, they were never actually done for prostitution. Oh, for fuck's sake! I'm having issues with talking
Oh,
tonight.
done for prostitution. That's going to be the title of someone's book. Kath.
Cool. So, my fact is about advice for young brides. So, Victorian author Ruth Smither wrote a book for young women on how to conduct a proper marriage called Instruction and Advice for the Young Bride on the Conduct and Procedure of the Intimate and Personal Relationships of the Marriage State for the Greater Spiritual Sanctity of this Blessed Sacrament and the Glory of God. Which, ironically, is a title that is very long and very hard to say.
Crack on, love, crack on.
On the matter of marital sex, Smithers wrote that brides should give little, give seldom, and above all, give grudgingly. Otherwise, that which could be a proper marriage could become an orgy of sexual lust. She also advises that arguments, nagging, scolding, and bickering also prove very effective in staving off marital sex. If used in the late evening, about an hour before the husband would normally commence his seduction. If the husband continues to persist, she advises that feigned illness, sleepiness, and headaches are among the wife's best friend in this matter. If all else failed, the young bride could always make sure this time was the last time. She states, as soon as the husband has completed the act, the wise wife will start nagging him about various minor tasks she wishes him to perform on the morrow. Many men obtain a major portion of their sexual satisfaction from the peaceful exhaustion immediately after the act is over. Thus the wife must ensure that there is no peace in this period for him to enjoy. Otherwise, he might be encouraged to soon try for more.
See, I reckon whoever wrote that book was in cahoots with the doctors who were then prescribing the prostitutes.
Yeah. Ruth Smithers.
Jeez. I mean, there's kind of the reputation for Victorians being quite prudish, but they also weren't at the same time.
They really were.
They were
Yeah.
obsessed.
They were
They- yeah,
really,
no,
really
they were
well. In
obsessed
fact,
with
it was
sex.
only like one writer. I can't even remember what profession it was.
And this one.
That sort of said, "Lie back and think of England." But
Yeah, we've covered that one before, and she was a 60-year-old woman having sex 3 times a week. It is above the recommended, but he was a Randy Lord, I believe. So, but no. Fun fact. Prince Albert. Obviously, I don't think he actually had a piercing, which I don't know where that.
Fame.
I don't think that he actually did.
But you don't know
But-
for sure, so
I don't know for sure. I would have to look into it. David. No, he invented a mechanism to lock his bedroom door, or their bedroom door, because obviously they slept together. So I don't know if it was some all the time, but yeah, he could lock their bedroom door from the bed. So, because they were really keen on sex, because Vicky, she loved it up her.
well, you can imagine it, can't you? He turns
I remember
around.
that being printed on the banknotes at the time.
I think as he turns around, looks deep
No,
in the
it
eye,
is
presses
actually
a button, and you just hear a click and the door locking, and he's like, "You know what time it is? It's business time."
it's recorded in her diary, as it were, that on her wedding night she actually states, "We did not sleep a great deal."
Yeah, she was a very
He then
active
goes
young
on to
lady.
state, "We
She
were up
was-
all night with Rumpy Pumpy."
Yeah. She was actually the
The two
first
dogs.
person. She's
The
the
two
first.
corgis, Robbie.
Rumpy, get down! Pumpy, you're no better.
She's the first person to have recorded the phrase "We got down to biznitch."
I took you seriously for half a second.
She said it in her fact voice.
Until you
it's
said
true.
business instead of business. I almost started leading into that fact.
He really was. Right.
Yeah. Cool. So for round 4, Smutt Peddlers, are we going with Phil's hysterical women, Laura's prostitute prescriptions, or Kat's no sex after marriage?
Now you put it like that.
Yeah, it sounded more fun when I said it.
You're right. You should have voted. I'm sorry, Kat. Ruined it for you.
Okay, actually, Kat, can you just recap on what the name of the book is, please?
Instruction and advice for the young bride on the conduct and procedure of the intimate and personal relationships of the marriage state for the greater spiritual sanctity and this blessed sacrament and glory of God.
Now,
That's not going to actually spell something, is it? If you take the first
It
letter of each
spells-
thing, because it sounds like it would.
Ayah for the
It's like it's like a huge dong or something like that.
Considering how much wine I know that
She's
you
speaking in
have
tongues and
already.
hysterical. Fetch your steam
She's
powder.
hysterical.
Quickly get the manipulator.
much better.
Oh.
Well, that's getting cut.
I don't know. I think you might be again.
Said the rabbi to the baby.
I'm voting Kat.
Yeah, I'm voting Cat as well. I can't beat that.
I thought I was doing quite well, but still.
Who are you voting for, Kat?
Me? I
You
just
voting for you.
I just like to move with the crowd. Otherwise, it would be the hysteria thing. But yeah.
I was going to say I do like all of them, but yeah, I think I'll go with that because it's just such horseshit.
I just love the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like feign illness or a headache. Make sure you nag him in the afterglow. It's just like,
It's like
You
the
must not be allowed to endure peace.
This is how I've got rid of all
Do
of
you
my
take the bins out?
ex-boyfriends.
I just like the idea that they, he's in there, he's in the mood, and she's going to look him deep in the eye and go, "You're not going to enjoy this."
later
Well,
on, I'm
some
going to
guys
ask
wouldn't
you
do
why
it.
the fridge is still open. Not
That
now, but
fucking
later.
shelf is still fucking wonky. I don't know.
I would like
Gutters.
to take on these minor tasks tomorrow.
You haven't changed the wheel on the penny farthing.
Cool. Well done, Kat.
Yay!